Hey, folks. Thanks for joining me live on the Be Nice Individuals podcast. Of course, I'm Thaddeus Smith, a solar avenger known across all platforms, and I'm here to help people to get educated about solar. But the point of this podcast, Be Nice Individuals podcast, is to highlight people and organizations to bring them into the spotlight. Today, I have a special guest on who is going to be talking about her BNI chapter. Obviously, you guys know I'm in BNI. I love BNI. I'm in a couple of other networking groups. BNI is a networking group that I have found a ton of value at because, look, when everything is tracked, you know exactly where you stand. And so it's my pleasure to introduce this next guest. This is Morris. Ms. Morris, tell me about yourself. Tell me about your chapter. Just give us an introduction.
Sure. Thanks so much, Thaddeus. I'm Alysia Morris. I hold the residential real estate seat in BNI Go-Getters. And as of today, I'm also going to be taking on presidential responsibilities in our chapter. We are a hybrid chapter. We are located in the World Golf Silverleaf Village area of St. Augustine, and we meet on Wednesdays. So that first meeting of the month, which was today, is in person, and the balance of the month, we are an online chapter. And we are looking to grow. We are looking to welcome others in, and I'm so with you on just your thought process that having data to show what we're doing and what we're accomplishing really makes the difference in this. And I think any of these other chapters to see how our members are doing and what our members are getting out of this, because it's a time investment, it's a personal investment, and it's a bit of a financial investment as well.
Yeah, I agree 100%. So I had no idea what BNI was before I moved to Florida. Of course, I wasn't in business. I was in law enforcement for 12 years. And coming down here, BNI is almost like a cheat code, so to speak. Of course, you have to be a good person. You have to add value. But if we're talking about being able to get a plethora of connections, I don't know how else you do it without joining BNI or BNI like networking group. I've been around BNI since March of last year. I don't know what I would have done without it.
Yeah,
What experience have
agreed.
you?
Agreed
Yeah,
wholeheartedly. I'm new to the area, relatively speaking, as well. So my background was in corporate America before this. And while I was always encouraged to network as my career was growing, there was never time for that. So now I'm seeing how just critical it is. Going of that entrepreneurial mindset, watching small businesses try to grow. And that's what I really love in this organization, is watching these businesses grow and build off of that. But you can't do that if you're not surrounded by the right people. And these are people that you get to know, trust, and build partnerships with, that can help your business grow in so many different directions.
yeah, well, absolutely. And one thing I love about BNI is the visibility. So people being there, being present. That's one of the matrix that is tracked, actually. So I'm in, like I said, a number of other groups, but just the attendance. Because you can't really refer to somebody if you don't know if they're going to show up, if they're not going to be there. And just also having that accountability for yourself to actually make sure that you're there. Now people are going to start to trust you. And it's almost like the rules of BNI is meant to make people successful, and it's meant to make the individual themselves successful.
Absolutely. I, for the first time last week, had to find a sub, and
Yeah.
it was an experience. And to your point, we've been growing our chapter since August of last year. So for me to have had that one time to sit out, and I feel like I missed out on so much. I've been playing catch up and trying to get with members this week and just see what happened, what went on, what's going on in the chapter, because we've got some newer members. And one of the other hats I wear is the mentor coordinator in our chapter. And I want to make sure everybody's getting that experience right from day one with what they've signed up for in this organization and the support. And to just not be there to me was like, I don't know what to do here. This is what I do on Wednesday mornings. And, to those other points of those other metrics that we're watching out for, they really do help. I was listening to a podcast earlier this week from the BNI leadership team, and they were talking about the traffic light approach to things. And you really can see the value, those that are in the green, and we're always pushing for the green. I'm sure you've heard it as well, that's what we're striving for. Those are the ones that I promise you are getting the most out of this. And those that, are not at that level yet, that there's ways to help them grow so that they grow into this and realize the value of investing the time, the energy, and whatnot into the various activities that help make up the traffic light approach.
Yeah, absolutely. It is always great to know exactly where you stand as far as the traffic light. But one thing that's interesting for me, so humans, we like to keep score, so to speak. Like if there's a game out there, you want to be able to beat it, that sort of thing. And I think it's actually pretty smart to have these traffic lights so that you can see your level of success. Because like I said, for other networking groups that don't track anything, well, it's nice that you're there and you can socialize, but with the traffic light approach and also showing like, oh, you've received this much, thank you for close of business. That's like a game of keeping score, and I love that. So
absolutely. I think it's also a way to hold ourselves accountable to that sort of gamification of what's going on there. Because when you're an entrepreneur, when you're a small business owner, when you're any of these things, it's so easy to get pulled in so many different directions. So I know for me, it recenters me to focus, have I done what I'm supposed to? Because each of those elements brings something different to the table of what we're trying to accomplish here in growing ourselves, growing our businesses, and watching, our fellow business owners try to do the same for themselves. So absolutely 100% agree.
Yeah. One thing that a lot of people don't think about when it comes to BNI is it's not just one chapter. When I invite somebody to BNI, they think, oh, cool, your group has 84, 85 people. Cool. No. BNI is a network. And sometimes people get so trapped in just their chapter, which is one of the reasons why I created the Be Nice Individuals group, is to get people out of their bubble, to start having more cross-chapter connections, more cross-chapter one-to-ones, because it's nice that you have a group, but what's better is you have a network throughout the country, throughout the world. Have you been able to take advantage of some of the network outside of your chapter itself?
Yes, that's been my focus the last couple of weeks, because I wanted to challenge myself and see what's out there, and then go back to the group, the chapter level, as an ambassador of what the experiences are. So here in Northeast Florida, we're fortunate. We've got a really robust program out there. We've got online speed networking. And for those, not familiar with the area, because our region runs so far south, all the way back up to the Georgia state line and over and across, there's a lot going on in this area, and we're a really broad area. So to have online speed networking, to have in-person roundtables. I've been to one in Jacksonville. I've been to one in St. Augustine. I believe they offer them also in Port Orange regularly. These are an opportunity to get out, because there are more than just the people in your chapter. And I was recently asked, what's been your aha moment lately? And that is exactly what my aha moment was. It's bigger than the chapter. And
Absolutely.
I can go on to tell you about, I saw a college roommate a couple of weeks ago of mine who lives out in Arizona, looking just bemoaning the process of getting insurance out there. And I said, hold on, let me look into my network. Let me see what I can find. So here I am sitting in Florida with a college roommate from back in Connecticut who now lives in Arizona, making that connection there, and just, being able to open that up and know that this is a like-minded business professional conducting themselves has been such a game changer. And like I said, the last 2 weeks, I have gone back to the chapter, and don't get me wrong, some people are going to benefit from these opportunities more than others. If you're hyper local in what you do, you're going to want to stay more at that chapter level, but all of us can benefit from doing the one-to-ones with people in other chapters, like-minded business professionals, to help us grow and just figure out, hey, what are you doing that's working? Because again, even if you're in slightly different areas, I think anybody who thinks that's my competition because, we're in the same field, that's more of a scarcity mindset, and that there is just enough to go around for all of us.
Yeah, absolutely. This theme keeps coming up, and I keep addressing it, and not from the people that believe that there's competition, but from people who believe that collaboration should be the word for this year. I know is my word for this year. And maybe I'm just being attracted to those people and they're being attracted to me. But collaboration is so much more beneficial than competition, because when you compete, your efforts are going to be just on outworking that other person versus just being the best version of yourself. And so BNI, and specifically the Facebook group, Be Nice Individuals, is meant to create those collaborations, because at the end of the day, everyone eats and everyone can grow together.
Yeah.
So
I think it's so wonderful you've put that out there, because I think it was almost the missing link. Because if people are not getting out and experiencing those events, then they just are missing that opportunity. And I think it's one of those, you need to show other people what's there. So I love that you've created that platform. I love that that's there. I've met people through that. That meeting I had to miss, that was where I was able to find a sub to come in for me and help me out. But I see others in there, and I've been able to say that to them. Go in there and talk to others. Figure out what's going on. Let's look for ways to grow. Let's look for ways to refer. Let's look for, ways to keep learning what's going on in the area, because there is just so much in this area with the growth and development. And I'm just talking, population wise, economically speaking, that there are just all these opportunities that everybody can benefit from.
Yeah, I agree 100%. One of the directions I think the group should go towards, and I've never tried to be the leader per se. I feel like I'm more of just a person trying to lead the herd, so to speak. I always leave everything up to a vote. If you've noticed that, I don't try to. Yeah, it's just not my vibe. I don't want to be in control. But I think one of the next directions that the group should go in is people should be posting more of their events. And we should kind of hype it up and see how many people can go out and support their events. Like, I actually just got off a podcast maybe like 30, 40 minutes ago with Old Man Energy. And he's in the group. And he was mentioning he has a thing coming up. Or actually it passed. It was in Orlando. And actually I had a conflict that same time. But I'm like, man, that would have been cool just to go there and be part and actually start meeting some of these people in person. And obviously there's some people, a good chunk of people in there that I do know. But when you get face to face and you can make that human connection instead of just on a screen or just on some type of social media platform, I think that's huge. So you guys, you're a hybrid chapter. Would you ever want to be strictly online, or do you like that day that you're in person?
So my answer has changed, and I would tell you that today I have such an appreciation for in person. 6 months ago, I would have said I would have been fine entirely with being online. And now I'm really realizing And I think part of it is in a post-COVID world where so much of our work was done online, remotely, at least in the world I came from, that I value the chance to interact with people and use those nonverbal communication skills that get so lost in a Zoom world.
Yeah.
So I really have a fondness for getting together, for seeing people. I also feel like there's that better chance to interact with people because you can work the room. Open networking, even the close of the meeting. We hung around for, gosh, an hour after the meeting today, just chit-chatting. And I
Yes.
know sometimes people make plans, go grab a coffee, but that's that, organic development of relationships that starts building that trust foundation that we're looking for in members, to start learning the stories. What are we working on? What can inspire somebody else? Can an online chapter work? Absolutely. I spoke to a lovely woman out in Washington. I did a one-to-one with her last week.
Oh, nice.
She is in a wholly online chapter and it works. She said, we're a little smaller in number, but this is what works for us. And that's great. I think it comes down to finding the right chapter, finding the right approach, because I get it. Some people are on the road all the time, so maybe being in person isn't their thing. But I think in general, where we can put people together, we can shake hands, we can laugh together, and have those shared experiences. I always think it's for the best for everybody.
That's awesome. You got to tell me how you met this person out in Washington, because I can't just let that slide on by. You just threw that out there on the table as if it was no big deal.
So fair enough. Shout out to Sandy Grape if she comes across this. She was on National Speed Networking a couple of weeks ago.
Oh,
I did
wow.
it for the first time. And
Yeah.
for anybody who is in a business where you could benefit from networking on a national level, I highly recommend it. It's Tuesdays, 4:00. It's members only, but they will run it for an hour to an hour and a half, and it's 6-minute sessions, and you will get connected with sort of anybody and everybody. The irony is I met Sandy that first week, and I think we got shortchanged. I think we got about 4 minutes. It was a quick turnover. I reached out to her. She got back to me. We scheduled a one-to-one. We talked for 2.5 hours last Wednesday.
Whoa.
An amazing conversation. She's an amazing person. And, working on trying to connect people. But at the same time, I had the pleasure of coming up across some other local members on it, which led to an in-person one-to-one, because what are the odds that you go on National Speed Networking with 100 plus people, and the last person I connected with happened to be in the Jacksonville area. So she and I went out and did a one-to-one a couple of weeks ago, and I got to hear about her business as well. So, shout out to Darla, because that was an amazing afternoon learning about her business with the Starfish platform.
Yeah, but absolutely. You're on a national platform, so to speak. If you're on a national speed networking and you meet somebody on there that's in Jacksonville, you have to meet them in person. It would be rude almost not to. I had no idea there's national speed networking. Maybe it's in the emails. Now I know, though.
But here's the thing, and I've heard this from a couple of other chapter leaders. Get on BNI, NEFL.com, check the events calendar. You'll see it on there. There are some other things. How to better use BNI Connect. So there's resources in there for us as members that we can really absolutely benefit from.
Well, clearly I'm gotta go back on the site. I use it mainly to see the chapters and the sizes and the members, that sort of thing. But I did click on the tab for events not too long ago, but I just have to pay more attention. So I'm gonna probably do that sometime today, actually. So, but I love that the idea of meeting people throughout the United States, because look, I'm in 23 states.
You're a prime
example.
You would benefit markedly. And that's what I tell people. I stood today with a visitor at our chapter meeting along with the roofer in our chapter. And I looked at Luis and I said, look, I don't think that National Speed Networking would be the best use of your time. Whereas the visitor that I happened to be speaking with at that moment, she's a travel advisor. She
Huh.
absolutely would be golden. And then who came over, our newest member who just joined last week, and he's in the paid ad space. And I said, look, I assume, again, because we haven't gotten to know each other and do a one-to-one yet, that he could do anything and everything all over the country. I know you're in multiple states. What is it, 23, you said?
Mhm.
Get on there and meet people. I met a realtor in North Carolina yesterday, and I look forward to doing a one-to-one with him and growing out my referral network. I met another guy that first week in North Carolina. Turns out we were born at the same hospital. I mean, it is
Oh,
amazing
wow.
things you will talk about. And that was back in Massachusetts, by the way. But it's
Yeah.
amazing the things you'll find that connect you and start to build these attraction factors, in fact, to people that you can connect with and have conversations about.
It's interesting, though, just in this conversation, this is a case study, essentially. So we've talked before and did a one-to-one, but just talking to you now, when you're doing a one-to-one or having an interaction with somebody else in BNI or in a networking group, you're going to glean certain things from them. Like, I didn't know about the national speed networking, and now you talking about it. Now I'm like, okay, cool. I need to put that on my schedule because it behooves me to do so if I'm in all these states that I'm in. So that's a message to anybody out there that's watching this. You need to connect with other people because they're going to know things you don't know, and you don't know what you don't know. So,
Absolutely. And bonus for anybody who goes that route, there's a CEU attached to it. So I know, again, back to these metrics of what we're trying to do, optimize what you're doing, have it be that you're trying to do something to grow yourself and benefit, but in return, get that CEU done so that you can tick that box for it. And what a great way. You'd be amazed the one-to-ones. On average, for the 7-8 people I might connect with over that time frame, I'm finding on average 2 to 3 one-to-ones a week that follow. And if nothing else, because these might not be people I regularly do business with or might never do business with, I've made some great connections, and it's just, you never know until you've had that conversation.
yeah, absolutely. So let's pivot and focus more on your chapter and growth. Like, all the chapters are always wanting growth. Well, at least most of them are. There's some chapters that want to stay small, which is perfectly fine. But when we're talking about growth, for your chapter specifically, what seats are you looking to fill that possibly this can help get filled for you? What are, like, if I had to put a quantity on it, let's say your top 3 or 5, you pick.
All right, let's go with 3 because I can do that easily.
Okay.
All right. And now that I'm on the spot, I'm going to blank. But some of the empty ones that we've got, we have been trying to fill power washing for a while.
Oh, that's
Partially,
easy. Yeah.
there you go. And it's just finding the right person that can make that commitment to things.
Yeah.
We had some seats open up last week. So I'll be honest, we would take something in the painting realm. That would be another one that would be, and I'm trying to think of ones that are easier to fill.
Sure.
But I see and I hear from a lot of our members that attorneys would be a great fit for the group, be it a divorce attorney, a business attorney, something like that, because I think it's ways that our business owners in the group can connect with things, but then it also can be sources of business for our members when we start building out on that referral level of, if you took a divorce attorney, unfortunately, sometimes people have to sell their house as they're parting ways, so in my world, that would make sense as a realtor. But, I think about the fact that we're here in a growing area. For those that don't know, Silverleaf has been pitched as the next Nocatee. We have a ways to go. There's no question in my mind, but it took 20 plus years for Nocatee to build out the way it is. Silverleaf's going to take the same. And this is a great ground level opportunity for people to get in these neighborhoods. And if you're in a business where working in these neighborhoods, in these HOA type communities is part of your business delivery model, it can be a great place to be given just the population growth that's happening in here.
No, I love it. And just to be there, like, I've heard the quote before, it's like first in, Like, because look, there's certain people in the market, certain businesses in the market, and if they can just establish themselves early, it's hard for somebody else coming after the fact to get that foothold. BNI is a great way for somebody to get that traction early on, specifically when we're talking about the Silver Leaf community. I don't know how big that community is just off the top of my head, but if a power washer or soft wash, however they want to say it, I know there's pressure washers. They're like, no, it's not pressure washer, it's a soft wash. But there's different names for it. But a pressure washer, there's a painter and an attorney. If they can get their foot in the door there and they can become well known in the area, they'll have that traction, and it just makes sense. So those are the people you want to connect with. Those are the people that you want to come out and visit. And you said that your group meets on Wednesdays. What time was it again?
We are 8 a.m. start.
8 a.m. start. And the majority of these are virtual with one in person.
Correct.
So is it the first Wednesday of the month is in person? Okay.
Yep.
So that's pretty easy to remember.
Correct.
Okay. So anything else that you want to leave for people in your closing thoughts before we sign out?
Sure. I would also like to welcome anybody who is in a chapter currently that would like to come visit us. I would love to see people be able to grow those cross-chapter referrals. So to your point of using the website, get on there and see what seats are available, that it's an easy visit to come over and talk about things. We don't have a solar person, so hopefully I can get you to come visit one of these days, talk
absolutely.
about what you're doing, meet some of these people, whether in person or online, because I know you've talked with a few of our members. But again, just to remember that it's bigger than what we're doing at the chapter level. I'd also like to encourage anybody who knows somebody that wants to grow their business in this area to come. We're welcoming. We'd love to have people join us, whether in that guest capacity or in the visitor capacity. I certainly would welcome anybody who holds a leadership role in another chapter to come talk to us, help us get off the ground a little more than we are right now. And in turn, we are happy to reciprocate. I spoke to another incoming president of another chapter earlier today, and I look forward to just networking on that level to figure out how we can both grow our chapters and see, what we can do for our members and make this just be the best experience it can be for those involved.
Absolutely. Well, I really appreciate your time. Look, just coming on here on the Be Nice Individuals podcast, just helping to highlight you, but also your chapter. That is one of the highlights of my day. So I really appreciate you coming on the podcast, and encourage anybody else from your chapter, if they want to get on the podcast, I'd be happy to host them, because in doing so, look, their audience, their social media audience, they're going to be exposed to BNI at the same time. And they're like, oh man, they're in BNI. I'm a pressure washer, or I'm a painter. I'm an attorney. Maybe I should go check this out and see what's going on. So I'd be happy to host anybody else.
No, that's great. And thank you for the opportunity. I was laughing with a member today. I said, I'm going to go do something I'm wholly uncomfortable with this afternoon, but knowing what a great person you are and how easy the conversation has been in the past, I knew this wasn't going to be scary. So use Flash. To anybody who has this opportunity available, please take it. It's not that hard. It's not that scary. And I promise, we all can do hard things. And this is a great opportunity to do a hard thing that can benefit yourself and benefit others for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So I appreciate your time again. And folks out there, make sure you tune in for the next Be Nice Individuals podcast. And if you have an interest on joining me on this podcast to highlight yourself, your event, or your chapter, whatever networking group you're part of, it's not exclusive to BNI, but BNI holds a special place in my heart, obviously. So feel free to reach out to me. Let's make it happen, because at the end of the day, it's all about collaborating. It's all about trying to help others. Competition, that's the poverty mindset. So again, this is Be Nice Individuals podcast. I'm Thaddeus, also known as the Solar Avenger across all social media platforms. I love you guys, and I'll see you next time.